Alright, everybody, how's it going? How is it going today? I hope everyone's having a good day. And I mean that genuinely, because how often do I say I hope you guys are having a good day? Pretty much never, right? I don't think I ever show up and I'm like, hey, I hope you guys are having a good day. So, just know that I genuinely mean it. Alright, guys, let's get the stream likes up to 100. Let's get the stream likes up to 100. So, some people were asking, why are we doing a cover, a volume cover tier list today, right? Because Thursdays during this break period are supposed to be variety days, correct? That was the plan. However, while that was the plan, at the same time we've been talking about doing a volume cover tier list for a while, and this was pretty like a new volume cover just came out, and I think it's a phenomenal volume cover. I think it's volume 106, right? I think volume 106's volume cover is genuinely. I think this is one of the best ones Oda's ever done. Off the top of my head, I think it's one of the best ones Oda's ever done. So honestly, I think that this is just a good time to do it. I could wait till next Monday to do it, but it's like, come on, the volume cover just came out. It's a good time to talk about it. I don't know. Seems topical. Riz Fruit says nobody asked that. Yeah, people were asking before the stream started. At least that's what I saw in chat earlier today when I was taking a look at people in the waiting room, basically. Pat Galley, thanks for the 5. Crazy that kids I played against in high school are getting drafted now. That is crazy. You played against, Scoot and, those type of guys? Who's in the draft this year? I normally don't pay attention to prospects, but the current prospects going into the NBA this year are being talked about a lot. Michael Joseph says, you're not tuning into the NBA draft, Morj. I don't really care about the NBA draft. The reason I don't care about the NBA draft too much is because I usually don't know that much about the players. I don't follow college basketball almost at all. So I know almost nothing about the players going in. I know the ones that are really hyped up, right? Obviously Victor Wembanyama, obviously, right? But to me, it's like, we already know he's going to the Spurs. There's nothing really there for me to watch. I know Scoot Henderson exists, right? Like, who are the top draft prospects this year? I know that one dude that was saying Paul George is the greatest player. The one dude that was saying Paul George is the greatest player of all time. Which is fucking hilarious. I don't think he knows what greatest... Like, I wonder if he watched basketball ever growing up. Or is he just, like, accidentally tuned into the sport and knows nothing about it. An average drummer, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 9 months. Morj, how does the Titanic sub-catastrophe affect LeBron's legacy? Man, I don't know what everyone's opinion is on the Titanic sub thing. I don't find it funny, personally. I just don't. So, to me, it's... I don't know. I'm not going to be here and, like... Oh, we need... I don't know. To me, it's just not... I just don't think it's funny. I think it's kind of sad. And I know they're billionaires, but that doesn't make me just turn off my... Personally, that doesn't make me turn off my, like, my empathy. It's not like a switch, like, oh, they're billionaires. Okay, then they should die in one of the worst ways possible. I don't know. I mean, they might not be good people or whatever, but... I don't know. I don't want to talk about this. Yeah, I don't know much about Brandon Miller other than he thinks Paul George is the greatest of all time. Scoot Henderson I know a bit about, but I just don't care that much. Amen Thompson, that's a funny name. Know nothing about him. Cam Whitmore, like, I've just no interest in the draft. And so many times these players get hyped up and then they're not that good. So to me, it's like, it doesn't really mean anything till I'll see who's playing good as a rookie. That's pretty much it. Behanor, thank you very much. Good news. At my therapist's suggestion, I started writing. That is awesome. Bad news. I got my first comment on an AO3. Still didn't check it because what if it's me? What's an AO3? AO3? Archive of our own. Huh. Is this for publishing your works and stuff like that? That's interesting. Because honestly, and you guys are gonna hate me, but during this break, where I know that you are like expecting a big video at the end of it, and that's still something that is the goal. But at the same time, I'm like, I have some time to work on some creative writing myself here, so I've, I've been. Please don't blame me for that, but it's something that has been very mentally satisfying for me to do because I haven't gotten to do anything like that since like time to do something like that since like college, honestly. Anyway, what if it's me, and how can YouTubers even deal with this? Well, I think once it's a volume thing. So if you publish something and you're only getting one comment, then yeah, that comment feels like make or break, the end of the world, right? Your entire sense of self-worth might be riding on this one comment. I could imagine that, right? So it's very um, nerve-wracking, I suppose, when you're just getting started, just to see what the initial comments are. I think I was kind of. It's been so long, so I don't really remember, but I think I was kind of like that too initially. I was more like, oh man, why is this video not blowing up? It's a good video. Why has it not got like 1,000 views already? Why doesn't it have like 100,000 views already? What's going on here? I pushed it on Reddit a little bit. Got some nice feedback and stuff there, but in general, it's just a volume thing. So like once you start getting more comments, it's if you're a YouTuber, once you get a certain once it's past a certain point, it's just a regular occurrence, right? And some comments. Well, the good news is if you're a YouTuber, basically anytime you put out a video, your audience is your audience because they like what you have to say generally. So the vast majority of the time, comments are all going to be happy with the video and happy with the content you put out. Otherwise, you wouldn't be a YouTuber. You wouldn't have an audience, right? Sometimes you put out a video and it turns out most people don't like it. That's rarer, but that happens. But that's just it's just part of the cycle of releasing content at that point. So you just don't really care. Really, when you're smaller and everything feels like a make or break review for your creative output, that's when things feel like that's when individual comments carry a lot more weight. So I understand somewhat how you feel right now. It's been a while since I felt like that, I'll say, but I understand how you feel somewhat. I would say don't stress too much about any initial comments because it's a total crapshoot whether, what if that person's just a dummy who doesn't appreciate what you have to write? Who knows? Maybe there are like 50 people on that site who would really like what you like, but you happen to run into the one person who wouldn't, So if it's just one comment, don't think too much about it. Captain Face, thanks for the 2. Can you explain where the Baltic Sea arc messed up? Are you saying like explain my opinion? I think that Princess Taco, welcome to the Supernova. Thank you very much for joining. Definitely appreciate that. Baltic Sea War arc. In my opinion, it messed up in how do I say this? To me, a huge amount of the weight behind Vinland Saga and its ideas and its themes is treating the problems that it's addressing with, society, the way we deal with conflict, the way we treat each other, with extreme weight, and giving weight to it by giving extreme weight, treating it with extreme seriousness and never undercutting that sense of tone and the gravity that goes with those type of ideas. I think the Baltic Sea War arc had a lot of jokes and gags that felt tonally drastically different from what Vinland Saga once was, and then it had moments where it tried to switch back on the but war really is very, very serious. It's a big deal. It's very, very serious. To me, that doesn't carry nearly as much weight as Season 1, Season 2, or the first 2 arcs, where every aspect of war from top to bottom, any interaction, any character you meet, any facet of what war, slavery, any of this meant was treated as an opportunity to delve into tragedy and how this stuff it affects individual characters, from minor characters to major characters, random side characters we never see again. Baltic Sea War arc, the tone was just drastically different throughout, which made a lot of its ideas fall somewhat flat to me. I just did not feel the same weight as I felt in the initial arcs of Vinland Saga. Vinland Saga is not One Piece, where Oda can go wild left and right in terms of tone shifts and stuff, and it hits. To me, Vinland Saga, it works well either very seriously or not at all. That's not to say it can't have gags, but not when those gags undercut the key ideas of the series, right? So that's one. Two, I think heavy emphasis on a lot of side characters that were really cookie cutter, compared to the much tighter and more focused character arcs that were being done in the first two Vinland Saga storylines. And finally, and most importantly, I could ignore the other two aspects, but to me, most importantly, it does a terrible disservice to Thorfinn's character, where it walks back a lot of the character development that we thought he had already done, and it kind of retreads the same ground, but in a much cheaper and more generic manner that you've kind of seen done in a shit ton of other series. And I think the final character conflict that Thorfinn had in that arc, the key moment where he had to make a certain decision, not his fight, the other scene with him and Floki, I think that scene was, that scene is, in my opinion, a terribly cheap, forced scene that makes no sense given the context of the previous arc and what Thorfinn already overcame internally the previous arc, and the fact that Thorfinn actually needed outside interference to stop him from making the decision that would have ruined his entire character. To me, I can't look at Thorfinn in the same light again. I just think that, so much of what Vinland Saga was about and the character arc that it developed for its main character was thrown away with the Baltic Sea War. Bassam El Madawi, thanks for the 5. Hey, what are your thoughts on them using color spreads for the wardrobe for the live action? I mean, to me, it's unnecessary. It's a nice touch. It's just not something that I personally care about. I think it makes sense in that when it's live action, you probably want to see the characters in different costumes over the course of different episodes. So, it makes sense. Also, Volume 103 is 10 out of 10. You're saying the cover page? Let me see. Or cover, whatever it is, volume cover. Oh, yeah, this one was cool. This one's really cool. I'm going to start the tier list pretty soon. Give me a second. Let me get through some of these. Akash Panda, thanks for the 5. Is it too convenient that what Luffy wants to do never conflicts with what he is supposed to do? Will it disappoint you if Luffy never had to choose? So this is addressing the latest video I did. And that's honestly, it's a very good point. It's a point that I circumvented discussing in that video. I think that the video that I put out is a fairly optimistic, positive skewing, benefit of the doubt sort of video, I suppose, towards Oda knows what he's doing when it comes to writing Luffy's free will and destiny, right? Free will and destiny, how those two can be conceptually coherent, even existing as two important aspects of how Luffy's story unfolds. Or congruent is the better word. I think that those two can be congruent. I do think it is important. I do think it's important for it to be addressed down the line. But I imagine that will only come when it comes time for Luffy to learn what he's actually supposed to do with the Dawn of the World. I weigh heavily the conversation that Luffy had with Kaido, where Kaido's asking, "Who are you?" And Luffy responds that he's Monkey D. Luffy. Because that, to me, that's a very telling moment, because if you go back and read that chapter, when Kaido says, "Who are you?" first what we get is a monologue right then from Zunisha saying, "It's Joy Boy. He's Joy Boy. He's returned, blah, 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 blah." And then it cuts back to Luffy saying, "I'm Monkey D. Luffy, King of the Pirates." So to me, that's a sign that Oda knows the tightrope that he's walking there. And that Luffy we are still supposed to understand that Luffy is still himself. Even if he happens to be playing out this role that other people want him to play out, there is ultimately going to be, it's going to be coming from within rather than him playing out some sort of a script. I do think that ultimately it is going to be important for that to be addressed more explicitly down the line, but that's just what I've seen so far. My interpretation based on what I've seen so far is that this seems to be how it makes sense. Timothy McQueen, thanks for the 10. Volume 106 is easily in my top 3. The other 2 are absolutely Volume 9, Nami in the foreground, and the other Strahds taking up a fourth of the page. Let me take a look at Volume 9. Yeah, this is one of the most outstanding color spreads, which is why I thought it was a good time to do it right now. Yeah, this one. And Volume 89, Luffy and Katakuri fighting. I know that one off the top of my head. I really like the one that's, the Enies Lobby one that has Robin in the center. She's turning around, and it's Luffy and Lucci, fighting each other on either side. Off the top of my head, that was my favorite. But I've definitely forgotten a lot of volume covers, just because volume covers I don't see as often as color spreads. Color spreads you come across organically while you're reading through the story. Ooh, thanks for the 5. After work, but have a great stream, Morj. Thanks very much. I appreciate it. Mamadou Musa, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 9 months. Eureka, how to power scale the Gorosei. The strength of each Gorosei is correlated to their facial hair. The less they have, the stronger they are. Okay, this seems like a... this seems like a Zoro-biased Gorosei power scaling. Because there's only one that has no hair whatsoever, and that's the Gandhi. So you think Saturn is just the weakest of them all? Because he's got like a full-ass mustache and beard. I guess the pointy mustache guy is in contention then. It's an interesting way to scale it. Have fun at work, Uwu. Opopa, thank you very much. Morj, please don't unmod me. But your last 2 vids have been pure waffling. The last 3 minutes of the Mihawk vid made the rest of the vid redundant. All love. I mean, that's your feedback. That's your feedback. I think you like the next video around the corner. I think the next video around the corner is pretty good. I thought the last video was good, personally, but if it's not your cup of tea, it's not your cup of tea. The Mihawk one, I can understand people not liking the Mihawk one, because the Mihawk one, that was more like, I would admit, that was me jumping on discussion that came out right out of the last chapter. It was discussion that was coming out right out of the last chapter, which was like, how strong's Figarland? How strong's the Gorosei? Does Mihawk have competition? That's what people were kind of chatting about right after chapter 1086 came out. So I was going to do a Mihawk video no matter what. I thought the last video I put out was good, but I think the next video I'm putting out, I think that's an interesting one for sure. And I think the video after that, that we got planned for 2 weeks down, is going to be a fun one. Unless I change that topic and bump it back 1 more week. Sheriff Laffy, thanks for the 5. I second Volume 9 as top tier. Volume 20 and 48 I like a lot too. What makes a good volume cover for you? That's a good question. I'm not going to go through and look at each one that people are mentioning just because we're going to be doing that anyway. But what makes a good volume cover for me? Okay, so I would reverse that and kind of say, in my opinion, I think that with most volume covers, it's not that Oda doesn't have good volume covers. I like most of his volume covers individually, but they all follow, all is the incorrect word, many of them follow the same sort of format, which is, it's kind of just, maybe there'll be one character in the center and then some characters flanking him and, taking up the borders and stuff. I feel like it'll make sense once we start looking at it, but the ones that people mentioned, right? The Luffy versus Katakuri one. The one where Nami's sitting and then you have strips of the other characters in the background. The Egghead Island one where it's everyone, in Astro Boy mode flying towards the sky. Those are unique because it's not the usual style of spread where it's kind of... the usual style of spread is just following the same sort of concept of one or a few characters just in the middle and then other characters kind of flanking and surrounding him, kind of... I don't know, the basic format of a volume cover. So to me... to me, this volume cover ranking is going to be a lot easier than the color spread ranking because the color spreads tend to be more unique across the board, whereas the volume covers tend to follow a similar style. And almost anything that falls under that style, I'm probably just going to be putting in B tier or C tier, basically. Unless it's something that seems to stand out for some other reason, it's not like you can't have some good volume covers in that style. But when they're blending in across the board with a lot of other volume covers because they all seem similar, that's when I might just be content putting them in B or C tier. Justin Holland, thanks for the 10. Loved yesterday's video. Okay, so you're the opposite of that other guy, Opopa. Different opinions. I feel like Nika chose Luffy because unlike Ace, Luffy stays true to himself, his love for freedom, and those he shares that love with, not his lineage or existence. I like to believe that too. I like to believe that too. I do hope, as somebody else mentioned in a super earlier, that down the line we do get a more direct discussion of Luffy and how all this came to be. Like, was Luffy, like, how closely is Luffy following a certain script? Is he, just somebody that's taking up the role of Joy Boy, or was he born to be Joy Boy? How much does that matter? Is there going to be some key decisions that Luffy makes that break the mold towards the end of the story of what he's supposed to do? How will he react when he finds out what his actual destiny is? I think those are all very important questions. Ali Clown, thanks very much. Io, who has the GOAT character arc? Any medium. Any medium? GOAT character arc? Any medium? That's too difficult of a question. I think for me, I would... because that's a very, very difficult question because, how do I say this? I think I would have to do it in medium by medium. I think I would have to do it medium by medium. And I think, because the harder ones to do are books, because I used to read a lot of books, and then I fell off that hard, but books do tend to lend themselves best to extensive character arcs, just because it's all writing, right? So you get everything. You get internal character monologues, you get a shit ton of dialogue, it tends to be more drawn out if it's a full series and stuff like that. Manga, I think, because that's the simple answer. Like, manga, this is one of the reasons that Vinland Saga Baltic Sea Arc I find disappointing, is because I would have easily said Thorfinn initially as my personal favorite character arc, because I personally did not like Thorfinn in the first arc, the prologue arc people call it. I did not like Thorfinn then, but by the end of the farm arc, he was my favorite character. But then by the end of the Baltic Sea arc, he felt like a very generic character. So that's kind of disappointing for me. If I take Thorfinn out of it, then it becomes very, very difficult. I don't know. I need more time to think about it. Movies, my favorite character arc is Michael Corleone. I think TV, it's probably Walter White. Yeah. Manga is difficult. Books are difficult. Timothy McQueen, thanks for the 10. I second volumes 20 and 48 as really great. I feel like volume 103 kind of fails to achieve the same energy as the former. I think we gotta... Let me pull up 20 and 48 just to see what you guys are talking about. I looked up volume 20. I didn't type in One Piece. It looks like it's a skincare thing. Alright, let's see. One Piece volume 20. It's cool. Yeah. I think I'm going to need to see them all lined up. Oh, this is volume 20. I was looking at the wrong one. Yeah, no, volume 20 looks cool. See, because it's a different style. Opopa says Thorfinn had a Farnese moment. I don't even know what that means. Farnese has a lot of moments. Great piece, thank you. Bassam El Madawi, thanks for the 5. I think that anybody can be Joy Boy, but Luffy is the one who came around. Similar to how Voldemort made Harry the Chosen One, it could have been Ace too. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's a good comparison. Laith, thanks for the 5. The Will of D is Luffy's dream. People's dreams never die, and the Ancient King understood that. It's not a Chosen One story because Will of D equals dreams. Okay, I could see that happening, but Luffy ultimately also doesn't know anything about the Will of D. Are you saying that his dream happens to match exactly what the Will of D is? Like, his dream, the one that's being kept secret from us, is also the Will of D, and it just fits perfectly because that's just the type of person Luffy is. Alex Grayson, Mario, welcome to the Pirate King tier. Okay, everybody who's in Pirate King tier, either on Patreon or either on Patreon or as a channel member, watch out for today's announcement. Tomorrow morning's announcement. Watch out for tomorrow morning's announcement, because we'll be deciding some things about the Pirate King tier and what you guys want as the podcast for this month. Alex Grayson, thanks for the 20. Where do you think Smoker is right now? Dude, I like to think Smoker is on that one marine island that's close to where they're at right now. You know, they mentioned it recently. I've been thinking about it a lot recently, and if Oda wasn't going to be using him soon, he probably would have been with Tashigi at the marine base. See, that's what I'm talking about, though. Maybe he is at that marine base. Maybe Smoker's there. You know? Maybe Smoker's there. I don't know. I hope he is, because Smoker... Dude, for the longest time, Smoker's been one of my favorite characters. It just gets harder and harder to like him at this point. Because he doesn't do any... Like, if he just shows up to get fucked up... And at this point, there's so many other Marines that are also interesting. You know, also have a lot of interesting realizations that they're going through. Aokiji, for one, right? Kobe's going through his own stuff. Smoker's just unique role in the story is kind of diminished over time. Smoker used to give a lot of great dialogue, give a very different edge to any arc that he was in. Nah, I just don't know, man. All D Blue, thanks for the 5. Volume 11 is one of my absolute favorites, but I understand some might be lukewarm on it. Looking forward to this tier list. Yeah, let me get started in a second. Let me see Volume 11. I forgot to type One Piece again. Let's see. That's a stylish one. Vanhort, thank you. So recently I had an epiphany. Alright, everyone listen up. What if Imu and 20 Kings did to the world 800 years ago, making it rubble and restarting from zero? Isn't that what Luffy has been doing all series and will do to the world government in the end? Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how pirates takeovers... well, it depends, because the way Oda has portrayed evil takeovers in the past have often involved deception. So, like, Doflamingo taking over Dressrosa. A lot of it involves framing the pre-existing good guys as bad guys. Same with Crocodile in Alabasta. Even Orochi trying to do this in Wano with teaching everybody that, yeah, Odin was a bad guy, yada yada. A lot of slander and such is used in these evil bad guy takeovers when they make themselves in charge. So I don't know if it's going to be the same style. I personally lean towards a lot of it being like slandered misinformation involved as well, rather than just, you know, a righteous victory. So I guess we gotta wait and see. Because obviously, just because that's how Oda's portrayed this type of thing in the past, that doesn't mean that that's going to be the truth of the Void Century and everything. Captain Face, thanks for the 5. Thank you, Morj. I agree. I didn't realize how the lighter tone negatively affected the message of war. I thought it was to reflect Thorfinn's positivity. I mean, you can make any sort of reason you want, but to me, as the moment it takes away from Vinland Saga's previous strengths, I just don't think it's good for the series personally. I mean, to me, it's at a point where it's like, you know, it's when you're at moments where you have like Thorkel doing a gag, like a parody of The Shining in the middle of what's supposed to be like a really, really serious, heavy reminder of how dark and scary war, like dark and devastating war is, then like a lot of the other scenes just don't work well juxtaposed with that sort of thing to me. The tone just isn't there. It's like, are we supposed to feel really serious and, you know, disheartened by all this, or is this also just like a moment for the mangaka? I forget what the mangaka's name is. Yukimura? Am I crazy? Vinland Saga. Yeah, Yukimura. Is it just a moment for him to get his gags off at the same time? I don't know. Great piece, thank you very much. Captain Face, thank you very much. I like Floki scene as a concept, but came too late. If it had come much earlier, like if that had somehow been before Thorfinn's transformation in the farm arc, then I think it'd be great. But if I look at Floki's scene, then I look at the farm arc, I'm like, okay, so most of Thorfinn's development in the farm arc was basically BS. To me, the thing with the Floki scene and all that, and in general Thorfinn's Floki conflict throughout that, it felt like Yukimura just needed Thorfinn to have some sort of character conflict over the course of that arc, so he came up with something that Thorfinn had already basically overcome, but just retreaded that, but in a much clumsier manner that kind of made us question, like, that kind of makes you question whether he's actually grown as a person at all, in my opinion. But I know a lot of people still really like I know a lot of people still really like Vinland Saga, so don't take my opinion as a thing don't take my opinion on Vinland Saga as like a reason to not try this series, because I still think it's I think that You know the great thing about Vinland Saga is I think you could end it at the farm arc. At the end of the farm arc, I think you could end it. And plot wise, there's still a great thing that needs to happen, right? Which is going to Vinland. I don't think that's like finding Vinland, creating Vinland, right? Which I don't think is a spoiler because that's marked out at the beginning of the series as kind of the broader goal. But you could end it at the farm arc, and you've got an amazing for the main character. It feels like you've got an amazing complete character arc done there at that point, right? He still has a major goal he needs to accomplish, but who he is as a person and what he's become from start to finish, I think that that's like, to me, that's like a perfect character arc, personally. So I would always recommend Vinland Saga, even if just for the first 2 arcs. All right, let me pull up a volume cover tier list. The tricky thing is that it's hard to find one that's perfectly up to date and recent. I found one that was kind of good. I forget which one. Should have saved it. Guys, let's get the stream likes to 200. Did I finish ranking already? Asks Miss Meinstein's Evil. No, I haven't even started. I came in being like, okay, I'm just gonna try and get in the ranking right away, but it's just the way shit goes. Okay. Let's see. I'll share with you guys so you guys can see. Humility above pride says Morj. What are your thoughts on the anime confirming Kid broke Big Mom's arm, not Law? Does it change your view on Kid at all? If only the anime was canon. If only the anime was canon. Shit. Okay, let's do this. I hope one of these is good. Alright, let's hope one of these is good. Ask 3 more times and he'll answer. This is Kinocha. What do I need to answer? What am I missing? What did I answer? Okay. J420 says, more do you care about the NBA draft? I don't care too much because I don't know much about the prospects. Alright, let's see. Let's see. Okay. So we gotta pick one of these to roll with. Whichever one seems like it's the most current. This has a lot. How many does this have? It's not in order. Don't like that. But I remember a lot of these are not in order. This one has more vibrant colors. This is also not in order. Why wouldn't they just do this in order? This one seems like it might have the most. Okay, let's figure out which one has the most, and I think we just roll with that. But I really wish that they were in order. And as far as I can tell, none of these are in order. Oh, this might be in order. I think this might be the one. This might be it. We might be rolling with this one. But it ends at... Oh, no, it gets pretty far. I think we're going to roll with this one. This one gets really far. Unfortunately, the recent one of Egghead is not going to be included, but just know that I would put it in S tier. Okay? Alright, we're going to roll with this. Let me just do a quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Is that right? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, 14 across. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 times 14, that's like 100 and... Wait, 9 times 14? That doesn't seem right. Isn't that too many? Is that right? Did I count this wrong? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 8 times 14. That makes more sense. Alright, so that's what? 32 plus 8. That's 102. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's 102. So that's everything except for, uh, yeah, I guess. Shit. How much do people care about? Oh no, because it's. Never mind. I'm also not including this stuff. Whatever it is. Bad math. Because I forget that the last row doesn't have like whatever. The rest of it. Should be 112 and then minus however many you're missing here. All right. We're going to start. I'm trying to decide right now if I want to do. You know what? We can just zoom in and see how good the volume covers are. I don't think I have to open up a separate page for this. But let me just give a heads up. So this is the type of thing I'm talking about where I think a lot of volume covers are kind of just like person in the center. Oh, this is a dope one. I really like this one. This is one of my favorites. Yeah, person in the center and then surrounding characters. Like, this is not a good volume cover to me. This is not a good volume cover to me. This is not a good volume cover to me. Like, they're just boring volume covers. I'm not going to be, like, putting... I don't think any volume cover is going to end up in, like, D, but I think a lot are just generic. So just keep that in mind. And somebody's already labeled these peak, banger, mid, cope, disrespectful. I think that's a little harsh, but the most recent is there. Not Egghead. Okay. Let me catch up on these supers real quick. Mechlore, thanks for the 5. Man, it better be confirmed that Kid was off-guarded or cheap-shotted or something, because I'm still mad. Bottom one character in the series. I don't think he was off-guarded or cheap-shotted, man. I think we all saw what happened to him. For some reason, this super popped up 4 times for me. It's kind of weird. Alright. Don't know what to say. Yeah, we're going to zoom in anytime we rank him. I'm just going to say the tiers are S. Okay, you know what? We'll label him. Great. Better. We'll just say great. Better than average. Average. Bad. And we'll say below average. I don't think any volume covers are bad. But maybe we get surprised. Okay, so the first one I'm going to say is average. I think this is a very average volume cover. Honestly, I want to say it's below average. Isn't this the first one? This is the first one, right? The first one we're going to say is great just because it's iconic. I want to say this one's below average. And I'm kind of going to be skimming through these. I like the Nami one a lot. I'm going to say the Nami one is great. I like this one a lot. I was always convinced that I thought this was a color spread, so I was always confused why this never popped up. I think that this one is... What do we think that this one is? What do we want to say this one is? Is this great or above average? Let's see. Black clothing. Captain Face, thanks for the 5. I love your insight. You help me understand storytelling. Thanks, man. I appreciate you saying that. Vinland is back on track in terms of messaging. The Baltic Sea arc was like Wano tone issue. That's good to know. I'm probably going to I know Vinland's in its final arc, so I'll just binge it when it's done. Great, above average. I think this was a very good color spread. They're not in order, but it seems close to. Like, I'm fine with a few being out of place. Great. Stands out. This seems like tight. I'll give this a few seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. 3, 2, 1. And it seems like it's just about gonna scrape great. We can re-rank as we go. Luckily, there's not as many volume covers as there are color spreads, because God knows how long that took. This one I think is also average. I think this is just average. I think it's a bit better than the... Do I think it's better than the buggy one? I'm gonna put the buggy one in average for now, actually, and we'll just see what below average looks like as we go. I like this one. I think it's better than average. Or is it boring? I like this one a lot for some reason. I'm gonna put this in above average. How do I feel about this one? It's got a nice perspective because it's a different perspective, but I think I keep fucking saying thumbnail, but I just don't think that there's much to it that feels exciting. I'm gonna put this in average. This one I think is average, just because it has Usopp. Just because it has Usopp for the first time, I'm not gonna bump it up. I think it's an average color spread. I think this one's average. Honestly, this feels kind of dull. I like that it's got a sort of leftward flow, I suppose you could say, with characters like pointing that direction, but it just doesn't do anything for me. I think this one's shitty. Putting this in below average. I'm gonna put this in below average. The Ace one is good. I'm gonna say above average. I like the Ace one. Mario says, could we go into more analysis of the covers? I think I'm flying through because I don't find the cover spreads. Okay, we'll go slower. I think part of it is I just don't find most of the volume covers to be nearly as interesting as the color spreads. Because I think that there's only so much you can do with the volume covers. Here's a little bit of insight. All right, here's some fun insight. All right, let me show you guys something. So, because it's a similar, I know YouTube versus like actual volumes and stuff, totally different, totally different ballgame, right? But here's just some stuff that you kind of learn as you go. Okay, so there's a difference between good art, like a nice art piece. This is my channel, right? I'm not going to look into somebody else's channel, but there's a difference between a good art piece versus a good advertisement. Volume covers, they need to stand out, right? So for things that you want to be like attention grabbing, things that you want to kind of just somebody looks at it, immediately gets a sense of excitement, or can immediately sort of grasp what might be going on inside this book, this volume, whatever. Stuff like that, you need clarity, basically, right? So you need clarity, you need fewer characters, you need a sort of simpler format. You can't have too much complexity or detail, okay? So that applies. The reason I'm bringing up YouTube thumbnails is because that applies to YouTube thumbnails as well. This is something that I had to learn over time. Part of it is because, like when it comes to YouTube, for a long time I was very lazy in terms of learning the meta of YouTube marketing and stuff like that, because I was putting out videos and I was focused more on like just putting out good videos. I didn't think too much about thumbnails and stuff like that. Which is ridiculous because I have a lot of experience with Facebook ads and stuff like that, where the idea again is you want clarity, you want big, easily understandable images, stuff like that. You don't want too much detail. So, for example, if we look at something like this, this is actually a bad thumbnail. It did well over time because people were looking for a Wano analysis. This is an early analysis I did partway through the arc. It did well over time, but initially it was kind of a flop video because even though if you look at it, the artwork is actually, it's like a visually really, really nice thumbnail, honestly. You got the flower capital, you've got characters, you got sakura petals and stuff going on. But it's, while it's visually nice, it's a little too detailed and too visually complex to be a good thumbnail. Something like this is a really good thumbnail because it's just Zoro, easy to understand text, pretty straightforward. This did well despite the thumbnail. It took a long time for Whole Cake Island to get good views, but again, a bit too much artsiness going on versus this and this. Great thumbnails, easy to understand, good thumbnail, good thumbnail, good thumbnail, good thumbnail. You know, easy to understand shit, basically, right? Same shit applies to the difference between color spreads and volume covers. Color spreads, it's supposed to be a work of art, so you can take time, you can look at it. You can examine detail, right? It's a nice large spread. You can examine detail, you can pick up on all the nuances, you're going to be appreciating the whole thing as a work of art. Volume covers, very different. You just want big characters for the most part. You want, like, easily understandable. It should feel like a poster. Yeah, a lot of these have, like, details and stuff in the background and everything like that, but the characters themselves, they need to be big and popping. Oda's not going to go into as much, he's not going to be getting too much into his artsy creativity with these volume covers nearly as much as color spreads, right? Like, it's just Vivi and, the Straw Hats, right? It's just the Straw Hats running around on Sky Island. It's not like, he's not trying to paint, like, a really interesting scene, or, he's not going to be going into as much subtlety or experimentation. So volume covers, it's just not quite, like, this is just the Straw Hats sitting around. There's not as much to it as the color spreads. This is a more interesting one, in my opinion, but we'll get to that as we get to it. So I'm just giving you guys my reasoning for why I find the volume covers to be less worthy of discussion in general compared to color spreads for the most part. But that's not to say that a lot of volume colors aren't as good as some of the color spreads, since I think the recent one in particular, right, the Egghead Island one, I think One Piece Volume 106, in my opinion, it's so good that it could be passed off as a color spread. You get what I'm saying? Like, I think that's so good that Oda could have slapped this into, just slapped that straight up into a color spread, and I would have thought it's a really good color spread. Caleb Brown, thanks for the 5. With Bonnie's powers, is it possible she ages up to Seraphim to peak/prime power that would make them an even bigger threat, either for or against us? That's what I felt for a while. I know I'm not the only person who's discussed something like that. I do think that Bonnie aging up to Seraphim is a perfect opportunity, because she has that power. It's been stressed so much that the Seraphim, they're children, they're not at their full potential yet. To me, it's just 2 + 2 = 4, but it seems as though Bonnie's effects are temporary, so I wouldn't know how she would affect the Seraphim properly, to permanently change them to adults, unless that's Devil Fruit Awakening or something like that. We also don't know why, and this is like a big mystery that still hasn't been solved, why Bonnie has not been, or why the world government was worried about Bonnie's escape. Mario, thanks for the 5. I think it'd be super interesting to try to analyze why some covers are good and why some aren't, see Oda's evolution over time, etc. Yeah, we let's get more into it. That's not an excuse to not talk about the color spreads. It's not a good excuse. We can get more into it. So let's start with this. How do we feel about this one? I'm going to call this I'll call it red and black. Red and black. And I'll give you guys all 4 options. Are we calling this the pink one? I called it red and black. This one seems to be pretty much all over the place. It's looking like average takes it. I'll give it a second longer. I'll give it 3 seconds. More people are voting above so this is a polarizing one. I would personally lean towards average, personally, but it looks like just above 50% of people are voting it above average or high. Now it's back to 50%. I'll give it 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. And yeah, we're gonna put it in average. It's hard to say, because if you combine everything, right, it looks like about 50% of people. Yeah, about 50% of people had it average or lower, basically. So we're gonna put this in average. I'm actually gonna go ahead and put this one in average. To me, I like Luffy's expression. I think he's got more. It's a definitely more serious look from Luffy than you see from pretty much the majority of color spread or cover pages, but at the same time, I just think that this in general, there's just too many cover pages, volume covers that are in this mold, in my opinion. Just too many that are kind of in this mold. I'm going to put this in average. I'm going to go ahead and put this in average. The blue of Arlong is refreshing, I guess, but then, like, I don't know. I could find some, yeah, it is a better spread than, like, you know, the Don Krieg one, or, it's a better spread than some of these other ones. I'm gonna keep it an average. We can take a look later. This one is definitely good. I think this one is either above average or great. Let's do a poll for this. I'll call it Alabasta Star. Great or above average. Alright, people like this one. I kind of want to skim ahead a little bit, but I don't want to ruin the surprise. Damn, this one's right down the middle, too. Damn. Alright, I'll give this one 10 seconds. You think this is one of the worst? I really like this one. I don't know if it's great, though. I don't know if it's great. Okay, looks like this is going to end up in above average. Rayuchiya says, would this be considered judging a book by its cover? No, because we're not judging the book. We're literally judging the cover, right? So the book is phenomenal. I love Alabasta. But it's going to go in above average. The cover is going to go in above average. This one, I'm just going to say average. Dorian Broggy. I like this one. It's the same style as so many other cover things, but it's, I don't know. It's got such a nice energy to it. I think just based on the energy alone, I'm going to put it above average. But it really doesn't stand out too much. This one I think is below average, just because all the characters involved are rather boring. And it's just a very generic way to do it. It's just a strip, another strip, below average. Okay, how do we feel about the Hero Look one? Because I could see this going any direction. I could see people finding this one boring. I could see people preferring the simplicity of it. I think that a lot of Oda's better volume covers come a little bit later. Similar to the color spreads. The color spreads tier list was fucking hard, man, because over time, Oda just becomes a better artist and becomes more creative with his color spreads. I think the direction it went was that, from what I recall, I think overall there was an upwards trend in quality of the color spreads, which made some of the prior ratings kind of bad, because like something that we put in A tier before compared to the later game stuff, it was like, well, this one should probably have been in B tier. But I think that the few that were considered the best were the top few color spreads that everybody liked were some of the ones that actually came earlier in the story. So it was a mix. Like overall trend was upwards heading later in the story as Oda's art got better overall, but a couple of people's favorite concepts came at the beginning of the story. People really like this one. So it looks like it's going to go in above average because over 50% of people think it should be above average or lower. Yeah, it looks like it's going to go in above average, but that's pretty good. It's pretty good. Mario says it's like someone peed on the cover. You don't like the yellow? Yellow's an interesting choice for this, because Drum Kingdom, I don't know, maybe you wanted something that contrasts well with the pink. I don't know. This one is average. It's like the definition of average in my opinion. Like, this is the type of color, the volume cover that I'm talking about, which is just the definition of average, right? It's Luffy, some surrounding characters. That's basically Oda phoning it in. That's basically his editor saying, hey, we got to get another volume cover out. It's like, okay, who are the characters? Luffy, Sanji, Chopper, Wapple, the Chess Marimo thing. All right, just throw them all in the cover, put Luffy in the center. That's it. Bada bing, done. Nolan Kogara, I think also average. You could argue it's a little, like, the framing's maybe a little better, or, like, you just like some aspect of it, but to me it's the same shit. Who are the characters involved? Luffy, Sanji, Chopper, Nolan Kogara, and the Snake. Throw them on a cover. Don't put too much thought into this. I like this one, though. I like this one because of the energy. I like this one because of the energy. How do people feel about putting this one higher? A little bit higher. I'm not going to allow people to vote below average on this. I'm just going to say Skypea. Nurgangi, thanks for the 2. At this point, my savings are going to run out asking. No, you only donate, like... I don't mean to disparage your donations, but I'll just say that I think Lifetime... Because you do, I think, about $2 donations. I think Lifetime you spent maybe $8 asking about the Manga Morj situation, which... Again, I very much appreciate it, but I'm just saying that if your savings were only about $8, then I feel like you have bigger problems overall. You know what I mean? Great. All right. Eaglin says it's way too busy in the art. I don't know. I like that it feels very poppy. I kind of like this one. Sure, Fluffy, thanks for the 5. The smiling Vivi cover I rate because it captures what Alabasta is all about. The Straw Hats fighting for their friend's smile. That's true. Symbolically, it is a very nice cover. However, visually, I don't care for it. It's a tricky one. It's definitely a tricky one. I'm gonna put that shit in average. This one seems to be above average. All right. We'll put Skypea in above average. I see what you're saying about the VV one. I just personally don't care for this as a volume cover. I think if we compare it to, for example, the Nami one, the difference in my opinion is that with the Nami one, right? So you've got it's the same ideas, right? All their friends are like Nami, who is by herself. How do I say this? You've got the same concept, right? You got Nami by herself. She's kind of staring off into the distance, the orange, everything like that. And who's in the background? The strips of all of her friends who are there fighting for her, etc. Great stuff, right? Everyone in the like Luffy smiles, Zoro's determination, Usopp being brave despite his cowardice, Sanji going through hell underwater. Like, you've got all of that. Great. I think the big difference is that while this VV one, it's kind of a similar concept, I think the composition and colors of the Nami one are significantly better. I think just the idea of having, like, the look of Nami here, just the small touches of her basically looking off into the distance, her expression, the orange on her head, I think it gives a much more sort of, like, it's both sad but bright at the same time, if that makes sense in terms of the type of emotion I'm getting from her. And then you can see all the Straw Hats much more clearly, and the colors of what they're going through is much more vibrant. I think it just makes for a much more visually sharp image, and you get the full spectrum, like both the foreground and the background, like Nami and the Straw Hats, everything feels important. I think it just carries the idea way, way, way better. Whereas the Vivi one, yeah, Vivi's smiling, but I think the visuals of all the Straw Hats in the background are the fact that they're muddied, not too clear. I just don't think it gets across. It doesn't feel... It feels more like a good idea rather than an actually compelling piece of art to me, which is why I'm going to put an average. Bittersweet is the right word. Thank you, Shonen Boys. Nurgangi, thanks for the $2 every week until 2028 or 2029 adds up, my friend. That's true. All right, I'll get a Manga Morj video out by then. This one. Okay, so people are going to be like, we got to rate it high because of the tie-in that it had later on with, where'd it go? With this one. But I don't really give a shit. To me, this is an average thumbnail by definition. or average, whatever you want to call it. Average thumbnail, average color spread, cover, volume cover. Mario, thanks for the 5. I think that we can feel the personality of the characters in the Nami one. Yeah, that's the big thing. It feels like a mosaic of emotions. Beautifully said. The VV one is fan service. It's fan service, but not even very clear fan service. I feel like this is a phoned-in volume cover. Just copying off the same idea of a better executed one, in my opinion. This one is average. Again, I don't want to harp on it too many times, but there's certain things I just don't think are worth talking about. It's just Luffy, the characters in the volume surrounding him, and what characters we have. We've got Conus, Isa, the fucking snake, classic characters, Gonfall, true fan favorites. Average. This one actually might be kind of bad. I think this one's kind of bad. Because at least with other ones, you've got it kind of set, like other ones I'm calling average, you've got a sort of, everything kind of radiates out from a centerpiece, so Luffy and then surrounding characters, Luffy and then surrounding characters. Here it's Buggy plus Luffy surrounding characters. This one, it's kind of, I feel like there's just not a lot of, it just feels messy to me. Nothing clearly, like Luffy kind of pops, but he's not really, he doesn't really stand out. The Strats don't really stand out, and then you just got like the figures here are too small, so I just don't feel like this is a good one. I'm gonna put this in below average. Just a little cluttered and messy. Like this one. Where's the other one? Okay, these two should be next to each other, right? I'm gonna go ahead and put these in great, because I'm a sucker for the ones that are continuous cover volume covers. I really like that. I think let's count this all as one volume cover, right? This whole thing. Isn't this a phenomenal volume cover? Isn't this great? You guys like this shit, right? Justice for Noland. This is one of my favorites. Easy. I think this is one of everybody's favorites. Alright. NL1, I'm going to say this is fucking average. How do you guys feel about the Jaya one? I think it's also average, but Oda's going for like a bit of a different tone. Fuck it, I don't care about the tone. I'm saying it's average. Alright, this one I like. I like this one. I don't know why I like this one. Maybe Luffy winking. It's just the priests in the background who are basically irrelevant. Like, even when you're ranking like the One Piece henchmen. Wait, that's a fun tier list idea. Somebody remind me of this next stream. I need all of you guys to remember this one. Remember this, okay? Oh, chat's delayed as fuck. Alright, everybody remember this. We are going to do a tier list at some point of best Straw Hat, and how do I say this? So, I want to do a tier list of best Straw Hat enemies at some point, but not like the bosses. So, I'm talking more so like, not like ranking NL versus Crocodile versus Lucci and shit. I'm saying ranking like CP9, Baroque Works, the Skypiea Priests, I guess the henchmen, but there's got to be a better way to phrase it than best henchman ranking, because that's like fucking boring. But you guys get what I'm saying? Oh, sorry. You guys get what I'm saying? Like, I think it's cool to compare. Like, I think NL is a great villain. Great might be a strong word. NL is a memorable villain, for sure. But, I think his priests are not quite as great as he is. Whereas I think, if you look at Crocodile and Baroque Works, I think Baroque Works lived up to how great their bosses. Does that make sense? Ranking best crew enemies, enemy subordinates. Okay, just guys remember, best enemy subordinates. I guess we can do that. How do you guys feel? Best villain groups? Yeah, villain groups. That's the way to phrase it. All right, villain groups. We'll do that. Best villain groups. And in the meantime, let's do this poll. Luffy winking. What is this? I think I like this one. I could see it being average in some people's eyes. I definitely don't think it's below average. I like this one. Top minor villains? That sounds really boring. I think we'll do enemy groups. Sheriff Lafitte's treble S tier henchman. I will say that I think the Doflamingo family did not. So a lot of people consider Doflamingo to be the best villain in One Piece, at least the best arc villain that we've ever had. I don't think the Do Quixote pirates, right, the Doflamingo family, live up to that, personally. I mean, most of the Strides didn't even end up fighting them. You know, I think only Zoro and Frankie really got full-on fights against the Do Quixote family. It was more so a showcase for the Grand Fleet than anything else. Obviously, you have guys like Senor Pink, but Senor Pink is the outlier, not the norm. Oh, it feels like a lot of people want. I guess a lot of people don't really care for this. That's fair. We can put it in average. We can put this in average. I'll give it 3 seconds. Oh, it did sneak a little bit above. I'm gonna put it in above average because 50% of people had it above had it at above average or above. I like it. I'm gonna put it in above average. If we feel like it doesn't fit with the others, we voted Hero Look to above average. I feel like this is wrong, and I feel like this shouldn't be here. I don't know, man. We'll take a look back. This one is cluttered to me. I hate this one because I don't hate this one. I mean, I hate rating this one because I feel like this is so close to being a really good one, but I feel like it's not. I think Luffy's expression is phenomenal. Not to go on a rant about tone and tension again, but keep... I say not to as I'm about to. This is not going to be a rant, but when I talk about One Piece arcs that had high tension, right, the great One Piece arcs, I think nothing represents the level of tension we had in the Enies Lobby storyline better than just looking at this volume cover. Everything's on fire. Luffy's face is dead serious. Have you ever seen Luffy look this serious in any of these fucking volume covers? No. This is Luffy deathly serious. The vibe of this volume cover just communicates everything that made the Water 7 Enies Lobby storyline phenomenal, right? High stakes, high tension, high level of uncertainty, and it affected the Straw Hats very deeply. This wasn't just some, haha, let's go kick CP9's ass storyline. It was, this is, like, everything's going to shit. This is our greatest challenge ever. We don't know how things are going to play out, but, we're going to put everything we have on the line to get Robin back, right? That was the vibe of this whole storyline. Very, very powerful storyline. Very well represented in this volume cover. That being said, artistically, I don't like it. I don't like the fact that Luffy's face is covered up a bit by Khalifa. I don't know why Oda felt the need to do that. This just looks like the surrounding characters look messy to me. People think it's great. I want to say it's great just because of the tone, but I think it's a little cluttered personally. I'll do a poll for it. I'll just call it the Water 7 one. I definitely don't think it's bad. So I'll just put in these options. Rafi D. Goat says, please drop the Wano video already, then you won't have to explain the tension again. That's one of my biggest motivators. One of my biggest motivators to dropping the Wano video is so that I don't have to explain any of these points again. See, where's it at? Okay, it looks like it's basically evening out to somewhere in the middle. We're going to put this in above average. I'll give it 5 more seconds. Looks like a bad Photoshop. Yeah, I feel like it's just such a disappointing waste of drawing a very serious Luffy for the volume cover. I don't know if Oda does something like this again. Yeah, it's averaging out somewhere in the middle, so above average. All right. Yeah, this is average. I kind of like this one. Um, you notice Oda does like different things with Luffy when the tone is a little bit. This is in amidst Robin's sad backstory and everything like that. So you have Luffy holding his head down. It's good. Wade Turner says the Wano video is never coming. Is it, Morj? No, it I promise I'm making the Wano video. I promise I'm making the Wano video. I promise I'm making the Wano video. It's, how do I say? There's no point in making more promises about the Wano video just because, like, it comes out. The Wano video is a thing that I'm working on, but it's just like at the same time, I'm not going to pretend that I take any break that I get to work on the Wano video. So it comes and goes in spurts, but it is basically guaranteed the next big analysis video that's coming out is the Wano video. Bassam El Madawi, thanks for the 2. One Piece deserves a Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood treatment. Like a new anime? I agree. But honestly, I think that the One Piece anime as is like, I wish we could keep the voice. Like, if it gets a remake, could we keep the voice actors? Could we keep the music? Could we keep certain scenes as they are? Because certain scenes are so good. It's just that I can't watch a full anime just for certain scenes, when the flow of the whole thing feels really, really rough to me post time skip. Okay, hold on. 1 second. Okay, so let me just show a glimpse, alright? Because you guys don't believe me. I don't want you guys to not believe me. But the reason it takes so long is because it's a big ass video. So, like, this is it's split right now into several different documents that cover each part of it. So, it's in a state where it's, like, close to done, but I have to do the final steps of putting everything together. Does that make sense? It's split across several. Do you guys get it? It exists. It's like a real thing. It's a real project that I'm working on. But it's also like a large and daunting project because it's split into so many aspects of it. So, it's just, don't worry. I'm not going to put all this time into this thing and then never actually release it. But at the same time, I'm not taking time regularly to work on it. It's whenever I feel like it. Does that make sense? Because it's just a large project. At the end of the day, I'm doing it mostly for myself because, let's be honest, I could never release the Wano video, and there's no real consequence to that, but I want to release the Wano video. It will come out at some point, all right? It's a real thing. Like, you can see it. Cap, I only saw a bunch of colors. The reason it's in colors is complicated. Each section... I'm not going to explain the system for how I organize things, but the colors are necessary. Just believe that. Anyway, we've got this stuff. This is going to be an average still, though, even though it's got a different vibe. The Usopp Luffy thing. I'm still going to put this in average, even though it frames a very dramatic thing. I just don't think it's... How good is it? I don't know. How good do you guys think this is? I don't feel that much looking at this. I feel like there's a better way to depict Luffy versus Usopp. So I'm just going to put this in average, personally. You think it's below average? I'm just going to put it in average. This one, I'm putting an average. I like the sea train one actually quite a bit. I like this visual. I almost feel like the straw hats aren't necessary. You know what I mean? Like, I like this part of it. I guess we had to include the straw hats. How do we feel about this? Riss Owis basically gave a good explanation for why there's colors. You just need it for organizing large documents. What do we call this? C train? I think it's either great or above average. I think I personally like this one quite a bit. Alright, we're gonna give it 10 seconds. Oh, look at this. This is 3 in a row. Look at these. I think these are 3 great volume covers right back to back to back. Alright, we're gonna put C Train in great. I'll let you guys vote on Straw Hats Attack. What is this? I'm gonna call this Monster Chopper. I'll just call it Monster Chopper. I really like the Monster Chopper one. Even though technically it falls into that format that I say is bad, in my opinion, right? Luffy plus characters. I think it goes without saying why this one is different. Alright, C Train's going in tippy top tier. And I'll just give you guys a heads up right now. This one of them flying to the sky is also going into great. No question. No questions asked. Ooh, this one's tight. Alright, I'll give this one 5 seconds. You guys don't like the chopper cover? That's fine. That's fine. I'm fine putting this in above average. I like this one, though. Give me a second. Above average. Let's just rename this. Who says better than average? Why did I say that? This one is going in great. No questions asked. Great. This one is average. Alright, this CP9 one. How do you guys feel about the CP9 one? How do you guys feel about the CP9 one? Mari, thanks for 2. My eyes feel wrapped by the old grandma one. Alright, we're not going to use that kind of language. But I could see this going in below average. Let's see how bad below average is. Ugly. Boring. Why did I put this here? Just because it's boring as fuck? This one should be in like its own tier. This one fucking sucks. Does grandma go in below average? Fuck it. Let's put grandma in below average. Why not? Who cares? And you know what? While we're at it, I'm putting Luffy versus Usopp in below average. Just because it feels like it doesn't do justice to what this was. In my opinion. Actually, I'll put it in an average. I'll put it in average. CP9, I'm going to go ahead and put in above average. I don't think it's great, but I think it's, you know, it's a different... Is this the only time we've had just the bad guys? What am I talking about? Baroque Works. I guess this is a little different because this is a 2-parter versus this is really CP9 standing on their own. It'll go in above average. Luffy versus Foxy. Funnily enough, I like this color spread. I don't know why. I couldn't tell you why. I like this one. I think it's a little bit different than the others. I don't really have any other good reason, but I'd be down to put this. It's fine. Let's put Luffy versus Foxy. Let's do a poll, and let's get the stream likes to 200. We're almost there. Let's see. I wonder if Oda put more. If he was like, I gotta spice things up a little bit rather than my usual like Luffy in the center surrounding characters thing for this one, because it's the long land arc, and he's like, I gotta make it a little bit different so that people actually buy this fucking volume. This one's got a pretty good split, but I'm seeing middle of the line. It seems like above average is what it balances out to, so we're gonna put it in above average. This one's gonna be average. This one is great. This one's fucking phenomenal. I think this is one of the all-time great covers, because it's just the only depiction of all the supernova. I think Oda did another visual of all the supernova post-time skip, but this is just a really exciting volume cover to see them all together. I think this one's great. Eaglin says, count the votes. It isn't great. You guys don't understand. The way I do it is that it's what the majority of people want. So even though Luffy versus Foxy technically got 33% in great, right? Even though it got 33% in great, that means that the vast majority of people think it is below great, right? So I'm kind of averaging it out to, all right, about a third of people think it's great, a third of people think it's average, a third of people think it's above average. That's all evening it out to, like, basically we're going to put it in above average because that's in the middle. Does that make sense? So it's got to be what's the general consensus majority opinion. It's not like, oh, this is 33%, this is 30%, this is 29%. We're going to put it in great because most people think it's not great. Does that make sense? Phantom Greyfire is heading out. Thanks for tuning in as usual. How do I feel about this one? I think this one is average. The Rayleigh one. In my opinion, this one's pretty cool. How do you feel about this? How do you feel about this? Shit. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this one. Let's say Rayleigh. I feel like it's above average. That's where I would put it. Ruviko says, yeah, a single option only wins if it's absolute majority, aka above 50% on a single option. I would clarify that as being like, if it's on the extremes of the spectrum, right? Especially then, if it's great, 40% think it's great, okay, that means 60% think it's not great, so it's going to be below that no matter what. Same as the other way. Rayleigh is above average. We're going to roll with that. Alright, the Thriller Bark one. I kind of like this one. I like this one. It's technically that same format, right, as I've been saying, but I like the black and gold. I also think that the Thriller Bark creature design, I like the design variety here quite a bit. I like Luffy in the gold armor. I'm actually going to put this in above average. I think this one is great. I think this is a great volume cover. It's got style. It's got style. It's got pizzazz. It's got a feel. This use of red, I think, is phenomenal. Also points for Nami, obviously, at the top, but I think this one's a great volume cover. And just having the one piece here, but then having Nami across the top here, it's just a different style. I'm putting this in the top. Actually, this is, looking at the whole thing, Oda pretty much never puts the One Piece logo anywhere but the top. So this is him really breaking the mold here. The Brook one, this is cool. This is cool. I'm going to put it in above average. This, I don't like Luffy's perspective here. Why is he... I'll put it in average, but I could see it being below average, honestly. It's just weird. Why is he a top-down view, but then Hancock and, like... I get that Oda's going for something, like, a little different here, but personally, this doesn't work for me at all. I'm putting it below average, actually. This one, my personal favorite. Love this one. I think this is just such an epic way. Like, this is a movie poster, right? This just feels like such an epic, powerful, clean way to depict the core of the Enies Lobby conflict, what it all comes down to. Like, if you go back and read Enies Lobby, the last 30 chapters are pretty much all Luffy versus Lucci. That's not true. Last 20-ish chapters. That just becomes the centerpiece. Everything comes down to, can Luffy beat Lucci? Everyone's struggling to survive the Buster Call. All this shit's going on. They're freeing Robin from the handcuffs. All the while, Luffy's fighting Lucci. I think this is just such a clean way to depict the intensity of what it all comes down to. It's just two characters and Robin, and everything comes down to, can Luffy beat Lucci and then get Robin back? I think it's a great, great, great cover. Great cover. This is going straight and great. This one's cool. Putting it above average. I'm gonna put this in above average too, just because it feels kind of memorable visually to me. This one is ass. Genuine ass. What is this one? Look at this. The fuck is this? What is this one? Yeah, the Robin one needs a tier for itself. Yeah, and also a rare ass shot from Oda to highlight a volume cover. That pretty much never happens. We all know that Oda is not interested in that. This one is ass in the other way. Genuinely. I'm putting this at the very bottom. This one is great. Yeah, I think this one is a hard contender for worst volume cover that we've had so far. Who bought this volume? Dude, this is the Straw Hats docking. I couldn't even tell because it's done so shittily. Damn. I love this one. I'm going to put it in great. This just feels like an iconic one. Yeah, we're getting to some of the more special volume covers here. Fucking ugly. No offense to Eva. But this... I just don't think Eva's face needs to take up the entire screen here. I'm going to put this in below average. This is weak. Below average. Alright, now we're getting somewhere. How do you feel about this one? This one is very cluttered, very messy, but it's got so many dope characters. Oh, shit. This one is amazing. I'm putting this one in great. Sorry, I'm skipping ahead, but come on. Kinda gotta. This one is phenomenal. Again, movie poster quality. How do you guys feel about this messy but epic thumbnail? Thumbnail. God damn. I keep saying that shit. It's not a thumbnail. Not a thumbnail. Volume cover. How do we feel about this? The Marineford one. Marineford. Alright. I think this one, it's very saturated, and a lot of the colors blend together, but it's in a good way, if that makes sense. Like, in my opinion, it breaks a lot of rules of how you should compose this, but it works. People are leaning towards great or above average. I'll give this one 5 seconds. And cut, so ends up in above average. I think it's good. I don't think it's great. This one's cool, but I'm still going to put it in average. The Luffy Zoro one. See, what's funny is if I was just rating volume covers in isolation, I'd say that this is kind of a dull one, but it breaks the mold of so many other volume covers. I'm kind of inclined to rate it different. I'm still going to put an average. It doesn't get points just for being early in the series. This one I really like. I really fucking like this one. I'm actually going to put this in great or above average. Where does it feel like it belongs? Does it feel like it belongs in above average? It's definitely better than this Foxy one. It's better than a lot of the ones here. It's better than a lot of the ones here. I actually really like this one. Does it feel like it belongs in great? I think it's a really nice one. Horty one is great. People want me to... I know the Horty one is popular, so I was hoping that I was kind of going to skim past that. I don't think it's that good. I mean, it's cool because it's a cool shot. Fine, I'll put the Horty one in above average, but I'm not putting it anywhere higher. Okay, I'm going to keep this one in great. This is shit. Look at this. This is truly awful. It is truly awful. Also, if anybody's reading One Piece for the first time, I wonder if they see a volume cover like this and they're just like, not picking up this series. You know, because you look at it, you're like, okay, so there's Luffy. I know this guy. For some reason, there's a tear and there's some eyes. Don't know who that is. And then it's just some zoo animals. And then 2 prisoners? This is below average. This one needs no explanation. It is going to great immediately. No discussion needed. I don't know if this belongs here. I guess it does for nostalgia purposes. I don't know if this one belongs here. Definitely should be here, should be here, should be here, should be here. Should be here. Obviously should be here. This one's only here because this one's here. 2 iconic, so I guess it has to be here. Should be here, obviously. Should be here. Should be here. I think great's pretty great. I think this one could maybe be dropped. This one could maybe be dropped. This one and the opening one could maybe be dropped. D. Marquez, thanks for the 2. Morj, what Nen affinities would you give the crew? That is a fun question. 2 problems with that. I'm a little bit out of touch with the Nen affinities. Let me think. Can I even rattle them all off the top of my head? Transmuter, Enhancer, Manipulator, Conjurer, Emitter, Specialist, right? I don't remember what personality traits specialists have. I don't remember. Conjurers are high-strung or something like that. Enhancers are straightforward personalities. I don't remember all of the tendencies. And here's the thing. I think there was some official release recently that revealed what Nen affinities a lot of characters actually had that were previously fan assumptions. And a lot of them were incorrect. A lot of them made no sense to readers. A lot of them readers were like, wait, what the fuck? This character's actually a manipulator. This character's actually a conjurer. This character's actually an emitter. A lot of the things just didn't line up with what we understood of the characters and their abilities. I think that's something that happened recently, maybe in the last year or a few years or something like that. So I think it's a hard call because I think a lot of us readers apparently are also bad at profiling what Nen affinity a character should have. JPrez P, thanks for the 2. How many volumes do you own? None. I'm not interested in owning One Piece volumes because the Viz translations are so bad. It's not readable. I mean, that's such a harsh take. It is obviously readable, but it's just, I prefer reading, when I read One Piece, to me there's no reason to read that when I could read, the colored version, you know? Why would I sit down and read Viz's weird translations when I can read One Piece in color? If Viz ever comes out in color with some better translations, then I would read that. I've considered at some point, well, wait, what if one day I'm fucking rich as fuck? Then could I just have somebody publish privately all of the colored things, colored pages from this site, and just put it into a book, right? I don't even know if you have to be that rich to do that. Just paying a certain amount of money to have somebody privately create a copy of some copies. I guess you would need a shit ton of volumes, right? I don't know, but you get what I'm saying. I'm wondering if you could just privately, not in an official release. Obviously, you can't legally do that, but just have a bunch of the colored, all of the colored version of the manga printed out, bound together into volumes that I could physically read. That'd be amazing. That'd be nice. But besides that, I'm not interested in owning the books. The only thing I'm interested in owning is the color walks. I would love to have the color walks and just browse through those. Mario, thanks for the 5. Looks like Oda's trying to emphasize the design of his new characters more than the actual art. He said in some SBS that he prefers character design. Yeah, he said in some SBS that like one of his favorite things is like thinking of a new character design and then he can't wait to show the readers that design. So that is an interesting thought behind his purpose behind volume covers. It's like the flashiest showcase of some new characters that he has, like Caesar Clown, obviously Doflamingo, stuff like that. Schmike the Melts, thanks for the 2. What do you like to do in your free time for fun, Morj? That's a really good question. So, I would love to say that like I have some really, really interesting hobbies and stuff, but I don't have time for those. So I don't have interesting hobbies at this point. Before, when I was younger, it used to be like videography and stuff like that. I used to love doing stuff with a video camera, movies for fun with my friends and stuff. Like that was my favorite go-to thing. Nowadays, I don't really have like hard hobbies like that. When I have free time, either it's how do I say? Like either it's something. It falls into two categories. Either it's just something fun, social, like with other people, and that can be anything. Or it's just like personally consuming something. Like I'm watching a show, or recently I've played video games somewhat on off. I actually picked up Melee again recently, and I've been getting my ass kicked online because I'm so out of practice. But I have that. I might try Street Fighter soon. But in general, like overall, I don't play video games that much. It's been a more recent trend this in 2023 that I've played video games on and off more frequently. But yeah, when I have free time, either it's doing social stuff, other people, blah, 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 or it's just mindless entertainment, watching something, reading something, whatever. But I should pick up, I think it's good to have, hobbies in general. But, the reality is the older you get, the less time you have. And so with the time that you do have, you don't always feel motivated to be doing something in particular, like a productive hobby or something like that. I'm watching a British show called The Peep Show right now. It's very funny. I think this one's above average. I'm not going to put it in great. I think it's a really good shot of all the crew. I could put it in great, but it just doesn't feel great to me. I don't know why. How do you feel about this? I'm just gonna say Straw Hat Crew, Fishman Island. I'm just gonna say great or above average, or average. Oh, people like Peep Show? Yeah, I know it's like a very popular British TV show for good reason. I also watched The In-Betweeners, a couple seasons or series, whatever they call it, of that. I like that one too. Let me think. In British TV, what have I seen? I've seen, obviously watching The Peep Show, I've seen The In-Betweeners, I've seen most of The IT Crowd, I've seen The British Office, and I've seen Blackadder. Blackadder was actually my first introduction into British sitcoms because my mom was really into watching that when I was younger. So that one holds a special place in my heart. Okay, above average. Yeah, that feels right to me. I was gonna say like it doesn't feel great, but people might get mad because people are like, "No, this one's like iconic or something." I'm like, I don't think this one's iconic. So I don't think I'm rubbing anyone the wrong way, but feels above average to me. I like the Caesar Clown one a lot. I think this is a phenomenal. I'm not gonna put it in great, just because it's fucking Caesar Clown, but this one's really cool. oh, friend, car friend, bus wanker. Yeah, In-Betweeners has a lot of shit that's just like so stupidly funny, but like it's aware that it's stupidly funny. Like friend just being a joke for an entire episode. I've not seen Black Books. Have I seen the new Black Mirror? No, I do have to catch the new Black. Is the new Black Mirror good? Is the new Black Mirror season good? Because I didn't enjoy the previous one, which is why I'm not as motivated to try this new one. But I also didn't even realize that this new season was coming out. So it's like a pleasant surprise. So I'm kind of like, was I just given a gift, out of the blue of some fun stuff to watch? Or is this not worth my time? I'm going to put this in above average. I think it's at least above average. It's not average. It's at least above average. It's arguably great. I don't think it's arguably. It's a cool fucking color spread. It's a really cool color spread. You know what? If this wasn't Caesar, if this was some other villain, then I'd be like, yo, this is a great color spread. I wouldn't say yo. Why would I say yo? Would I say yo, this is a great color spread? How often do you guys hear me say yo? Who even says yo anymore? Virgil Hawkins, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 9 months. When did you start seeing yourself as what teenage you considered a proper adult? That's a great question because this came up when I was, I think when I was in college, and I think I just turned 20. And the way that I think I just turned 20 or 21 or something. And I was talking to my friends about this, and I was like going through this existential crisis. I was like, okay, so if I got hit by a bus tomorrow, right? In the news, would it say, like, a man was hit by a bus? Like, a man was hit by a bus? Or would it say, like, a young man was hit by a bus? Or would it say, like a kid was hit by a bus? Like, what would it say in the news? Because I didn't consider myself, like, when you're 20, you don't really think of yourself as, like, oh, now I'm, like, a grown adult like everybody else in the world, right? Because especially if you're still in college, you don't have a job yet, you're not out and about. So I'm like, I don't know. So that was when I had that question. And then honestly, even in your early 20s, like I was 22, 23, I didn't think of myself as like, you're technically an adult, but you still feel so young and you don't feel like you're in the same wavelength as everybody else. That's like, I was doing a part-time job at a courthouse at that time, like typing shit, the minutes of meetings and stuff. So I knew I was basically playing at adult, but at the same time, like, the people that worked there regularly were like 35, 40 and stuff. I was like, I'm not them. But at this point, so right now I'm 27. At this point, there's not a moment where you really feel like, oh, I'm an adult, because in my mind, I'm still young. But at the same time, anybody that I'm interacting with now, that's also an adult. Like, I have friends that are in their 30s, late 30s, etc. People that are in their 40s, like, everyone's just kind of in my head, like, basically we're all just one on the same level at this. You know what I mean? Like, we're all just in the same level, in the same sphere. So while I don't think of myself as like an old person, I consider myself young. I'm like, but I am technically an adult. And like, you really don't think about your own age when you're talking to people that are in their 30s, 40s, because at this point mentally you're all at the same place. You all have jobs. You're all doing the same shit. So that's not a thing that crosses my mind. It's more so when I'm by myself, I'm like, I'm only 27, but technically I'm an adult at this point. That's crazy. What are your top 5 favorite friendship dynamics in any story? That's a hard one, man. That's really hard. 5? 5 is a lot. 5 is a lot. And that's too many to ask for. That's too many to ask for. I don't know. I don't know, man. That's too many to ask for. You can't ask me for 5. Here, let me give you 1. Unless I can think of a couple. I'd really have to fucking think about that one. I like Luffy Zoro a lot. I think Luffy and Zoro's friendship is really great because it's so understated. And they really don't have to talk about it that much or even vibe that much. But they're just so on the same wavelength anytime it comes to certain things and certain topics. And then just the loyalty and the trust between the two that's there. So you could call it an underdeveloped friendship to a degree, but at the same time you could call it just like such a pure unspoken bond that goes beneath their like surface level personality stuff. I really like Luffy and Zoro for that reason. Beyond that, let me think. In manga, trying to think among manga. I don't actually like Gon and Killua that much. Their dynamic, although I know it's very important to the story, and I can like Killua individually as a character. This is hard. Sam and Frodo is pretty great, but I only really like Sam. This is hard, man. This is too hard. I don't know. 5 is too many. It would take me a long time to even like narrow it down to 1. Schmike the Melts, thanks for the 2. Do you enjoy streaming or do you just see it as a job? It depends. Because I won't lie, there are like days that like if I have a very initially when I started doing streams were my favorite part of doing YouTube by far because it's fun to just talk. Just talk, share your opinions off the cuff. You're not like writing and scripting a bunch of stuff. So, it's more it's just free flow interaction. I get to talk to people, I get to talk to you guys. Even back when like I was doing streams and I only had like 100, 200 people show up to streams, that was fun because you just I don't know, it's the most interactive that you get with this YouTube thing. However, ever since I started doing streams regularly, I still really like doing streams, and they are part of my favorite thing about doing YouTube for sure. But because it's like it's the only part of what I do that is scheduled very tightly that I have to do it at a certain time. Like if I'm doing a script is supposed to be done for next week's video by Thursday night. But very often it'll spill over, and there's not a hard deadline for that. Chapter reviews, I try and do Thursday night or Friday morning. Like, there's various aspects of what I do, YouTube-wise, that the schedule, it can be flexible depending on what other stuff I have to work on outside of YouTube or just general life stuff. Streams are the one thing that I try to keep consistent, right? So Monday stream every week, Thursday stream anytime there's a chapter, right? So because it's the only thing that's scheduled, that's the only reason that at some points, like, maybe there'll be some days where I don't want to be streaming that night. But in general, it's the most fun thing. Does that make sense? So on certain days, it's the least fun thing because sometimes you just get very little sleep, or you got a whole bunch of shit that's, like, piled up that you got to do afterwards or something like that. But I'm still going to tune in and do the stream. So just because it's the one scheduled thing, like the one very tightly scheduled thing, that I don't think I've skipped a Monday stream in a long time. And I don't think I've skipped a chapter stream in a long time. Just because of that, and it's a late night thing, right? So it's not in the middle of the day. It's not like it's part of my regular workday hours. It's something that I'm doing later in the day before I can, I guess, sit back and relax, right? So it goes late into the night. That's the only downsides to streams. But that's pretty much it. Beyond that, like, outside of some timing inconveniences at points where it'll be like the end of a long day and I'm like, well, I don't want to, like, today I don't want to turn on the stream and, stream for 3 hours necessarily. That'll be once in a while. Generally speaking, that's the most fun thing. Does that make sense? So, like, most of the time it's the most fun thing. Sometimes it's not. But most of the time it is. Anyway, D. Marquez, thanks for the 5. Morg, do you think we will ever see Luffy interact with the manga itself for EXP? Luffy throws an attack towards Imu that follows him through manga panels. That'd be really cool. That's an interesting idea. That'd be really cool. I think that what's funny is that, like, in Chainsaw Man, you already get, like, kind of a bit of this where the author plays with manga panel borders and stuff like that, and even manga sound effects to play into the attacks that characters are using. So, if that's already something that other manga artists are employing, I wouldn't be surprised to see that in One Piece. This is average. This is almost bad. This is borderline bad. I'm going to put this in below average. This one is dope. I'm putting this in above average. Oh man, Oda went hard in Dressrosa. Look at this. This one is great. Is this one not great? How's this one? I'm going to say Doflamingo newspaper. Yami Kami-sama says, if you did live streams spontaneously, it'd be more enjoyable for you, basically, but add a schedule to anything and it kills the joy of it. Yeah, the old potato streams were pretty much usually spontaneous. Like, maybe I'd give a heads up in advance, but, like, it's on my terms, I suppose, of, like, hey, maybe I'd tweet out, like, I'm streaming tomorrow or something like that. But it would be, random spontaneous, right? So it's only when I feel like doing it. Streams I usually feel like doing. And if you notice, my streams have actually become longer and longer in recent times. Like, before I would cut streams at about, like, an hour and a half, then, like, 2 hours. Now I usually find... Today's stream I'm going to have to cut early just because I have a dinner thing. But, now I usually stream, like, close to 3 hours on Mondays, 2+ hours on Thursdays. So, part of it is also just, like, my stamina and, like, stamina to stream has gone up. So, I think I get, like, less tired of streaming these days, basically, if that makes sense. Okay, it's in great. All right. Mario, thanks for the 5. If you do YouTube full time, what are you going to do when One Piece ends? Trying to create products like doing your manga could be interesting, don't you think? Yeah, I mean, my long-term goal is to do my own creative stuff, which I'm having fun playing with during this break. Especially funding my own independent film. But once One Piece ends, like, the two options are basically either I pivot and just focus on other manga, or I'm still working on business stuff on the side. I've just had a bit of a reset. The hope is that basically I'm set in that at that point by the time One Piece ends anyway. Unless I want to keep doing YouTube to talk about other manga, in which case I might just continue doing that. But either way, the long-term overall goal is to do creative stuff. Sheriff Laffy, thanks for the 5. Doflamingo's crew is like LeBron with the 2018 Cavs. Yeah, that's kind of it. I think that's a good way to put it. This one's kind of a lame thumbnail. I would actually argue it feels very unepic for what it's depicting. And I'm going to put this in below average. Just because I don't like how he... Like, it looks kind of lame. This isn't like the epic final battle of Dressrosa, This one is cool, though. I might put this in above average. This one is shit. I'm putting this in below average. I'm going to come back to this sugar one. This is average. This is average. I'm just knocking out some easy ones. Okay. Sugar. How do we rate sugar? Yeah, whether it's manga or movies or something like that, I'll have to pick. But Virgil Hawkins says Morj is now completely committed to calling them thumbnails. Fuck. Damn it. Yeah, that's probably right. What is this at? What are we calling sugar? I think sugar, it's either, it might be above average. It might scrape above average. Let me take a look. Does it seem out of place? It's not as good as this one. It's not as good as this one. I'll put it in above average. I'll leave it in above average. I think this one's above average for sure. I don't think it's great, but I definitely think it's above average. I think it's just a more interesting way to depict the wide roster of characters that Dressrosa has. I think this one is borderline great. Schmike the Melt says, this stream looking like a two-parter. We've only got... I could, like, fly through a lot of these. The tricky thing is that Oda's got a lot of good ones coming up. He did get pretty creative as he in recent times, I think. Yeah, he's got quite a few good ones around the corner. Shit. What do we do here? Let me think. Okay, if we push through, I'm going to have to kind of turbo. All right? You guys ready? So I'm gonna be making the call for a lot of these. I'm gonna say this one's above average. All right, this is above average. I think this one is borderline great. I think this one's borderline great. I'm gonna say it's. Is it great? I like this one quite a bit. I'm gonna say it's great. I'm gonna say it's great. Plus, look at it. It's a rainbow. It's Pride Month. We'll give it the bump. We'll give it the bump. The bump up. All right. I think this one is above average. Is Dawn Creek Yonko level? Not in my opinion. Death Pop says finish it next stream, then move on to another topic. I could do that, but the next topic I want to do is a very controversial one that will take its time as is, which is a One Piece top 30. This one I don't like right here. I'm going to put this in average. Actually, I think it's arguably straight up bad. It could go in below average. I think it's bad. I'm putting it in below average. This one, I'm going to say it's average. Luffy Sanji. I actually used it back when I really didn't care about thumbnails at all. Like, I'm talking YouTube thumbnails, not what I've been calling these thumbnails. Back when I didn't care about thumbnails at all, I would literally just take like volume covers and make them the thumbnail of my video. I didn't care at all. This was when I was like a sub 1K YouTuber. Like, I had less than 1,000, maybe less than 2,000 subs. I just didn't think about it at all. I was like, the video's good, so as long as the video's good, people will watch it. Stupid. Back then, this was the thumbnail of a video way back when. This was literally the thumbnail of a video I did. So I'm going to put this in above average. Do I think it's great? Is it great? Does it fit in great? Does it fit amongst these? I don't know if it's great, because there's just something a little dull about the bottom part of it. I feel like if it was Luffy and Sanji's faces set to some sort of climactic scene, I would put it higher. I'm going to put this in above average for now. This one is good. I'm going to say it's above average. Shit, I like this one too. I'm going to say this one's above average also. I like the colors in this one. I think Whole Cake Island in general was just such a colorful place. Obviously. Put that there. This one is one of my fucking favorite volume covers ever. This one is awesome. This one is great because it's not just the mirror shattering. The backdrop behind the mirror, like, so you've got the nice alternating between the mirror shards shattering and then in between the mirror shards shattering more characters. And the Sulong transformation and Luffy. This is a phenomenal fucking volume cover. This is going right to the top. One of the best ones ever, I think. Easily one of the best ones ever. Gear 4th, I think, is above average. I think it's above average. This one's nice. I know that it's a... Is it better than average? I feel like it's better than average. I feel like there's more thought to the color here than a lot of the other ones in average. I'm going to put it in above average. I think this one's almost above average. Am I just putting everything in above average now? Okay, let's see. This one is definitely fucking average, right? This one's average. We can safely put this in average. This one is great. Or above. This one's great. I like this one a lot. That's one of my favorites as well. Put this in great. Graffiti Goats is top 30 next stream. Yeah, I think top 30 next stream is a good time to do it. Although, it might line up better with the video I'm doing the following week. I might wait on the top 30. I don't know. Like, I want to do it either this week or the next week, because it could line up well with the following video that I do. Alright, let's see here. The fuck? Where do I put this? I'm going to put this in... Is this above average? I don't think so. I don't. It's got character. Yeah, Whole Cake Island had really good covers. I'm gonna go ahead and put it here in average, but I could see it being above that. This one, it's a different style, but I still think it's average. Schmike the Melts, thanks for the 2. Fans need BDA and King of Lightning for top 30 stream. We did do that one tournament. That was fun. That was fun. I'm trying to... Let me see if I want to do a collab. The only problem with collabs that I found, and this is nobody's fault, it just happens, is I have a set time that I try and do the streams and stuff, and I really don't like shuffling that around. And I find that anytime I do a collab, sometimes they're able to do Monday, and that's totally fine. That's great. That's ideal. But lots of times we have to shift it to something outside of the time window that I have set that I can do my stream. Like maybe it's an hour or two later, hour earlier, or it has to be a different day. And especially when I'm trying to get 2 people on, then it gets trickier to find a time that works. This one feels very generic to me. I'm going to put this in average. This one's cool. I'm going to put this in above average. Reese always says do a collab with Randy Troy. I think I'm set to do one on his channel sometime soon. There have been 2 weeks now that he reached out to get me on his channel, and both times were not good times for me. But I do want to do it. So I think the next time he comes around and asks, I'll just really try and make it work. This one, it's a cool idea. I don't think it comes out that well though. I'm gonna put it in a average. All right. This one is the where's the one that's like it's like several characters, or like it's like three volume covers together. Where is that one? Is that okay? I think that's. Hold on. It's got Kaido. Right? So it's got Kaido, it's got Big Mom. Am I right? Is this all the same thing? Is this the one? It's the one with Kaido, Big Mom, and I guess Luffy and stuff and company. Is this it? Did I do this correctly? Yes, right? This is it. Yeah. Okay, so this is obviously going in great. Most ambitious set of volume covers he's ever done. So I think we're good there. Then what do we have here? What the hell is this? Oh, this is average as fuck. I like this one quite a bit. I will put this in above average. I'll put it in above average. This one's pretty cool in my opinion. I borderline want to put in great, but I don't think it's great. I think this one's average. Oops. This one's average. I think the Luffy versus Katakuri one is great. I think this is average. This one's messy. I don't know what the hell is going on here. Oh, I can kind of make it out. It's the Monster Trio versus King and Queen. I'm going to put this in below average. This one, fucking phenomenal, fucking beautiful. Obviously goes in great. Obviously in great. No question. No question. Yeah, Wano had a lot of above average and great covers. This one I'm going to go ahead and put in above average. I don't think it's great, but I think it's above average. And so did Whole Cake Island. Wano and Whole Cake Island. A lot of good stuff. This one I don't think is that good. I think this is average. I know it's a callback to other stuff, but it's a fucking average volume cover in my opinion. And this one is shitty. It's genuinely terrible. I don't know why he ran with this, but it's genuinely terrible. I'm just gonna. This is the Gear 5th thumbnail that I know. I like this one. I don't know what the fuck Oda was doing over here. All right. No, the Monster Trio one is like I just can't tell what the hell this is at first glance. It's a messy thumbnail, messy volume cover in my opinion. Okay. All right. So, looking at everything, I do have to call stream right about now. I'm running a little behind. I'm gonna go with what to do. What's the best here? What is the best? This is among the best. 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 This is my personal favorite probably, but I don't know if that's just nostalgia. This is among the best. Beautiful. Phenomenal. The triple spread obviously is in there. What's my favorite? I'm gonna throw this in here. What is my favorite? The triple spread is really cool. I think I have a preference for the cleanness of the Baroque Works one, because this is ultimately... It is really, really cool as a concept. I like the feel of the Baroque Works one better. So I'm going to say the triple one is not my favorite. I think this one might be my favorite volume cover. I don't like this as much as Luffy versus Lucci personally, so it's not my favorite. This one's just fucking cool as shit. It's so good. This one's really good. This one's fucking awesome. Okay, this is my top 5, alright? And I'm gonna count this as 1, right? In some order, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. One of these 5 is my favorite. What would be my favorite? I don't know. I think I'm gonna lean towards this being my favorite. But it's 2 volume covers, so we can't count. You know what? We're taking it out of contention. It's 2 volume covers. It doesn't count. So that leaves these 4. I could put Luffy versus Katakuri back in there. This one is fucking awesome. I guess this one's just my personal favorite, but these 2 are more striking images. Like if I removed my own nostalgia from the picture, it's either this or this. I think this is one of the most creative ones that he's ever done. But these 2 just, like, they feel more vivid. Like, they just... There's just a sense of, like, the simplicity has a certain power to it that this one doesn't. This one, I think... I don't know. It's just, yeah. I'm going to say it's either this or... I think this is just the coolest volume cover, in my opinion. This one's awesome. I'm going to roll with that one. It's interesting that... Shit, it's hard, yeah. I think... It's hard, man. It's hard. Maybe if you ask me a different day, I'd go back with this pick. Maybe I'd go with this pick. Maybe I'd even go with this pick. Maybe I'd bounce back over to the Luffy versus Katakuri. Maybe I'd say the 2-in-1s or the 3-in-1s do count. I don't know. Kaido's face too goofy. Honestly, just the moon and Luffy on it, it's too cool. The way the moon looks is just, I don't know. This is just a really, really cool volume cover. Whitebeard's is... It's hard. Maybe this is better. I don't know. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. You know what? Give me some time. I'll figure it out later. These are really good. Yeah, Oda's got some really, really good volume covers. I think he does phone it in for a shit ton of volume covers, but it's just the way it is. But, you know, some of his better ones are pretty creative, and I think a lot of his best volume covers are really, really great. Like, a lot of his best volume covers make for some of the most memorable imagery in the entire manga, so something to be said for that. All right, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Yeah, I will talk to you all later. Peace.